because you've got pressures coming. Let's go back to the CEO pressures from the beginning. You've got pressures coming on costs, on productivity, do more, do more. And in the past, the measure of productivity has been how much can a person do? Or that's been the sort of how we think about it.
Yeah.
And what you're saying now is how do you, through like designing roles, how do you actually create space for deeper thinking, maybe talking about higher quality output? I mean, if you think about a sales team, we're going to have to increase targets on revenue. We're going to have to see revenue increase in order for performance to increase. And obviously freeing up time might do that. But so how do you reconcile that?
And that is the quality piece, right? We're saying if some of the AI can do the doing, so, and we've seen that in that sort of when we looked at those power core, the AI can help do some of the stuff that gives you time back. That time could be spent spending time with your children. I'm not saying or your family or whatever. Absolutely. There's also time and work that kind of says, now I'm going to spend that differently. I'm now going to think about, and we've always spoken about working smart. You are now able to work smarter because you have tools that are helping you work smarter. So increase in revenue doesn't mean busier or more time. And in fact, actually in that case study, we saw that burnout was a real issue because it was like, I've got to do more in order to get more. That's not changed that equation. Yeah. You've got to do different in order to get more. That equation has changed in their mind. And so I think there is something quite beautiful if we do this right, Steph, around giving that ability. I wrote something the other day, and again, and we all know this, if you go and have a walk at lunchtime or whatever, you go and spend your time, we tend to think, oh, I'll have a podcast on then because I need to, can't possibly just be walking in nature. I mean, that would just be right. No, I must be feeding or I'm exercising with something that I'm watching that is like,
I
but
feel so
actually,
seen. I feel so seen right now.
but that is what we all, because it's like, oh, I have to keep up. But actually, what we know is if you go and walk in nature for 30 minutes without anything, what is actually happening is your brain is able to think, process, come up with different things. And so we're going to have to build that in because it's not what we built into work. So we're going to have to build it in order to get back to some sort of, yeah, reasonable place where you actually can do that, right? So we've almost got to this crescendo point where I think people are a little bit like, I can't possibly add in. So now we are subtracting in a really great way. I actually hate the word subtraction because it makes me feel like I'm missing out on something. So I psychologically push back on the word subtraction. And I understand the intent and the thinking behind subtraction. In fact, my boss sometimes does it, and I literally have this like, it's something's being taken away, and that can't be good, surely. Even though I know that is, but I think it's that creation of space for a better outcome. But Steph, I think you raise a great point. Then, if we go back to work design, the starting point is what's the impact and outcome. And it is fascinating to me when we've done work design that is really not where people start. They look at the tasks often, but they're not looking at the impact and outcome and really focusing in on that because the task should come off the back of that, not way around. And when you do that, you get a completely different sense of it. I'm going to say, because we certainly haven't solved this, I mean, we're creating this rubric on what are the questions that organizations ask themselves to make sure they're not eroding things like cognitive ability, but also stopping, we see it now in articles, brain fry, right? So stopping brain fry, not eroding cognitive ability. I think organizations are going to have to come up with how did they think about that and how are they building that into the work and the design of work. It's certainly going to be super important.